I miss laundrettes, that stale, humming fug, that soap operatic feeling that all human life passes through their doors. At one time I spent many a peaceful hour watching my autistic son Sam jump up and down in front of the dryers. Our visits to the laundrette were purely recreational, cheap, harmless family excursions. From the age of 18 months, Sam was obsessed by laundry in all its aspects. It started with washing machines. Sam tried to say washing machine before he attempted mummy. He created them wherever he was, by rotating a sock inside a shoe or spitting bits of apple into a bucket and shaking it while making whirring noises. One birthday he was given a Barbie laundry centre in moulded pink plastic. He wouldn't let go of it for 24 hours. The interest widened to embrace tumble dryers, washing lines, clothes pegs, baskets, irons, ironing boards, soap powder, fabric conditioner. "Want dishner," he used to shout. He would demand to be lifted up to other people's windows to peep at their white goods. When we visited friends, Sam approached their utility rooms as reverently as if he were entering Tutankhamun's tomb. I searched the library for books with pictures of laundry aids. Sam loved them all, from Mrs. Tiggywinkle to Tom and Pippo and the washing machine. Amazing number of children's books do feature washing machines, I'm happy to say. He had other obsessions too. Oast houses, broken chairs, barometers, food processors, grandfather clocks, vacuum cleaners, video credits. When they go up at the end, he used to want to replay those over and over again, ignore the rest of the video. And bottles of lavatory cleaner glimpsed through frosted glass. Sam's interests were useful from my point of view, being easily gratified and relatively safe. We spent a lot of time in curries. "Do you need any help?" "No thanks, just looking." A key episode of Mr. Bean was watched to extinction. This was less safe. Mr. Bean gets stuck inside a tumble dryer. I found Sam stuffing himself into the plate-warming oven of our Arga in emulation of his hero. Then, overnight, Sam lost all these interests. I hoped this would clear mental space for a wider variety, but instead his range diminished to hand-biting, string twirling and bouncing, little more than physical sensation. At the same time, his language dwindled to almost nothing. That's why I miss laundrettes. At least they were something you could talk about. Obsessive behaviour is one of the commonest traits of autism and one of the least understood. It may be an attempt to impose order on an incomprehensible world. It may be symptomatic of the fact that autists can observe minute detail but cannot relate the detail to the wider picture. Their tremendous powers of concentration can lead to real expertise, as in the case of Temple Grandin, an American woman who is a world-leading designer of cattle handling devices. For most autists, however, their obsession is not useful, it is an end in itself. One man collected all available information about the addresses of juvenile courts. When a well-wisher, in an attempt to broaden his horizons, presented him with the addresses of other kind of courts, he rejected them, complaining they bore me to tears. Trains, bus timetables, weather patterns, electrical circuits, street plans and lampposts are all common obsessions. In young autists, an absorption in the works of the late great Rev. W. Awdry is almost universal. George, my older autistic son, went through his tank engine phase, but failed to obsess on Thomas, James, Gordon, or any of the main players. George favoured Douglas, who doesn't feature in many stories, never appears on t-shirts or in pasta shapes, and speaks in a Scottish dialect that induces lockjaw when read aloud. Douglas has an identical twin, Donald, but Donald was nowhere with George. He bored him to tears too. Some obsessions recur less frequently. Among train spotters and stamp collectors at a recent workshop was a youth who stated his hobby as rescuing young women from prostitution. A young man I know has a fascination with Sir Paddy Ashdown, to whom he attributes superheroic skills. Obsessions can tip over into phobias, and an autistic phobia can be very controlling. Andrew, 10, this is a boy my sons were at school with, can make himself physically sick at the mere thought of fruit, any fruit, or seedlings, or penises. Since all three feature prominently in the average primary school day, life with Andrew can be hazardous.